Thank you. Thank you so much, Judith. And Dean, I'm glad to welcome you. And Gayla, am I saying it right, Gayla? Good. Yeah, it's so nice to see you too. Yeah, wonderful. So if you have a candle, please go ahead and get it. And I will light this one for all of us. So I light this candle on behalf of all of us gathered here today in recognition of the light of spirit always shining inside of us and all around us, and especially acknowledging the light that shines between each of our hearts here today in this circle that we've gathered together. So I invite us all to just take a minute to just look at each other's eyes and see the light shining in each other's eyes and feel the warmth in our hearts and extend that warmth to each other, and feeling our connection here. Even across miles, how right here present we are with each other. Yeah. And please join in our call to worship song. Come, 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 come.
Come, 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 come to this place. Arrive, arrive as you are. Come, 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 come to this place. Arrive, arrive as you are. Fragile or strong, wounded or well, lost or found, this is holy ground. Come, 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 come to this place. Arrive, arrive as you are. Come, 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 come to this place. Arrive, arrive as you are. Fragile or strong, soul fire burning, spirit wind blowing, life's river flowing, this is holy ground. Come, 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 come to this place. Arrive, arrive as you are. Come, 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 come to this place. Arrive, arrive as you are. Fragile or strong, wounded or well, lost or found, this is holy ground. This is holy ground. This is holy ground.
We come to this holy ground together today. We come for the joy of it. We come for the healing of it. We come for the mystery of it. We come to be together, to use the amazing power of the arts to connect us deeply with spirit within and around us, and to connect us together in our loving community. And I want to thank you, Judith, so much for bringing your beautiful music and a poem today that you love, and also later during sharing time. I'm looking forward to hearing about the adventure you just returned from, planting the earth treasure vase that last month we all blessed together. Looking forward to hearing about that. Gabe, I want to thank you for all you do behind the scenes. Helps so much. And I want to thank Manoush, my wonderful traveling companion on this spiritual pilgrimage that we've been on in the Temple of Dominor in Italy, and earlier today in the Basilica of St. Mary Magdalene. And then tomorrow we're going to the caves of Mary Magdalene. And we brought Spirit Moves to France. We taught a workshop of women Spirit Moves, and it was so moving, beautiful to see how deeply they went and how much they loved it. So we have a sister circle now in France, which is great. So I want us to go ahead and go into the prayers of the people and then the prayer of Jesus. And I wondered who would like to read the prayer of Jesus today. And Gabe, I think, put the bulletin in. Maybe you could put it in again, Gabe, into the notes for people who came a little later. All right. So if I don't see, oh good, Hope's going to read it. Thank you very much, Hope. All right. So as always, for our prayers of the people, unmute yourself when you feel called and speak directly to the divine, the sacred, using whatever language works for you, and then finishing with God in your grace, and we all join you with you hear our prayer. So whoever would like to begin, please do.
Beloved Mother, Spirit of Nature, Gaia. It's just a prayer of gratitude for this time we have spent here. And I know this time we have spent before and we will spend again in our land of California. But this moment in France and the forest and has been for me such a nurturing time of community gathering and a deep connection with the spirit of nature. So I just want to offer my gratitude for that time. And I pray that our forest be protected during these months ahead. And that the fire and the water will be in harmony and balance. So we keep thriving on this planet in a beautiful way. Thank you.
God, in your grace,
You hear our prayers.
you hear our
Oh, Mother Gaia, Mother, Father, God, this has been a week. To come back into America after 2 weeks in the misty Isles of Scotland, and to come back to the horror of this week. I ask for prayers for all of us who have been shocked once again by the violence of our culture. I ask certainly for prayers for all those who have been directly affected, but for all of us who have had to hold this week in our hearts, that we keep strong, keep clear about actions that need to be taken. Please strengthen us to be hopeful about some change. Please soothe us in the ways that our nervous systems have been frayed. Please bring hope and light into us. God, in your grace.
You hear our prayer.
I just want to start by thanking you for that prayer, Judith. It was This has been such a hard week and it's been so heavy, and it's really hard to keep up hope. And I want to just add a prayer. Dear God, please, can we at least this time see some action in Congress to make things just a little bit better and give us some hope that there is a way forward. It's just beyond belief that we can go on mass casualty after mass shooting and there's no change. Please, may this be a different time. May people wake up. May some integrity reign. May consciences be stirred. I'm sorry, I don't even have the words. I'm so upset by all of this. But dear God, I know you know what's in our hearts and minds, and please hear our prayers. God, in your grace.
You hear our prayers.
Dear God, creator and lover of us all. Kind of hard to do just a little prayer and petition for Nancy today. She'll be having a minor procedure this coming week, and protect her and help the doctor, guide the doctor, and allow it to be successful. May it work well for her. God, in your grace.
You hear our
Our
prayers.
prayers.
Mm. Great Spirit, infinite love, holy ground of being. I give thanks for being here together this morning. There's so much pain and fear in the world and in our hearts. Please help us feel you with us. Feel your strength. Feel your comfort, your love, and your peace. And please help us be in the world beacons of this strength and comfort and love and peace. God, in your grace, you hear our prayers. Yes, Hope, thank you.
Okay. The prayer of Jesus. Abun, our Mother, Father God, who lives in, within, and beyond all creation. Your sacred presence is holy. May your realm thrive. May your justice be done. May your loving compassion reign in every season and in every situation. Give us today the bread that we need, and support us as we share bread with the world. Forgive us when we miss the mark, and heal our hearts as we forgive others. In every trial, strengthen us. In the midst of evil, deliver us. For yours is the wisdom and the power and the radiance now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you all for your incredibly beautiful prayers and depth of heart and goodwill. So have you noticed that in the bulletin every month I use an image for our prayers of the people and the prayer of Jesus as our prayers being like butterflies emerging off the branches and leaves of a tree. Today we are listening to trees. That's our theme, listening to God, to spirit that is expressing itself to us through trees. On the beach yesterday, when Manish and I were on the Mediterranean Sea, pebbly beach, and I found this, I don't know if you can see it, it's this beautiful little tile that's been rounded in the sea. And I immediately thought it was the UCC comma. I think many of you know that the UCC, that is our denomination. Our tagline is, God is still speaking. And the symbol for this is a comma. It's like, yes, God is still speaking. So, listen. And today we're going to listen through our connection with the trees. I found it really interesting as I was researching today's service that after people and God, trees are mentioned in the Bible more than any other living thing. In fact, almost 300 separate times. There are trees in the first chapter of Genesis, in the first Psalm, and on the last page of Revelation. As if to underscore all these trees, the Bible refers to wisdom as a tree. And Kimberly brings to us her studies of the tree of life often. I think it was a couple of years ago, the UCC chose as a theme for annual gathering that beautiful verse from Jeremiah that I put at the cover of the bulletin. I'll read it. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in the Lord. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. And the photograph on the cover to go with this was taken on our travels in the west of France, outside of Biarritz in a forest where we were teaching spirit moves. So I've inserted into the bulletin several images of trees that are from our sacred pilgrimage that we're on, and also from Sedona, where I was last month, including this incredible Jesus on the cross from the amazing chapel in Sedona. And I spent a lot of time under this cross. It's very high up and incredible how the eyes of Jesus look down. I had exactly the right spot in the church to just look up and have this amazing connection. And the crucifix, the cross is actually a tree. You can see it in the photograph. And it's not any old tree. It is a living, blossoming tree with wonderful golden fruits. So I wanted to bring that to you today too. So we all know trees are special, don't we? When we go to have time in the forest, or even with a tree in our backyard, our neighborhood. I remember in college, very first orientation weekend, I went to a very intense college, and the chaplain of the college, I got to have a little time with, and he said, I want to recommend a practice to you that every day you go and sit under a tree for 5 to 10 minutes. And it was brilliant advice I wish I had followed to go every day, but I did go some days. And when I did, I could definitely feel like all of the things that felt so important just kind of draining away through my body into the tree, into the roots of the tree, into the earth. Incredibly healing. Good advice, Gabe. I hope you're listening. There's some good advice for college. So I would like us to first read Mary Oliver on this subject. Incredible poem. And then afterwards, I just want us to name trees that have saved us, as she says in the poem. Has there been a tree in your life that gives you comfort or inspiration? And we'll do more sharing later, but this is just to name some trees that have meant a lot to us. So who would like to read When I Am Among the Trees, this incredible Mary Oliver poem? Dean, thank you very much.
There we go. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me. And daily, I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Round me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. "It's simple," they say, "and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine."
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful reading. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine. I love that. Our friend and former member, Julie Barnes, uses that as her signature, under her signature of every email she writes. I might steal. I love that. So I invite you to just unmute and just name a tree that has saved you or that has been meaningful to you.
Eucalyptus. Eucalyptus saves me daily.
Thank you. Thank you, Gayla. Eucalyptus.
My guardian oaks that I see looking out from my deck and that guard my studio. Lovely circle of trees.
Wonderful. Thank you, Judith.
Mine is a little story. I was out in the country, as I frequently did with friends when I was in high school, and we had just driven out to this forest, and there aren't very many forests in Minnesota, southern Minnesota, but this one was a protected area along a creek, and we were going to go for a walk in the woods, and it started to shower a bit, and so everybody wanted to stay in the car, and I said, "No, I'm going out." And I got out of the car and I walked into the woods, and I had that moment of being transported, just transported into the magic. The the raindrops were coming through light and falling from the trees, and each of them appeared as a crystal. And it was just an amazing experience. And I wasn't on any drugs or anything like that. And I just wandered through the forest for a while and just felt so at home and at peace. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dean.
Wow.
I can imagine that.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I don't have a single tree, but I have more the feeling of being within the woods
Mhm.
and the beautiful feeling of the trees above and the bluebells below and the murmur of life when you listen, when you walk through a wood.
Yes.
Mhm. Yes,
Yes.
yes. Thank you, Cindy.
Mhm.
I'm typically super moved by the redwoods. And so is that like sequoia and Douglas fir that we have here? Is that what the typically, anyway, I love being surrounded by trees too.
Yeah. Yes, me too. Thank you, Lisa.
Hard for me to pinpoint trees because I love them all, but I'll start with the sycamore, which from my childhood, when I was 3 years old, we had a big sycamore tree, and that's the tree that I would climb. And my parents let me do. I mean, I was a really good climber, and I just loved that tree. So that's a very fond childhood memory. And the tree grew as I grew, and we climbed together. And redwoods are just my all-time fave. I redwoods and sequoias. I have a real affinity for them, but I love all trees.
Mhm.
Hard to pick one.
Mhm. Yes, connected with more than one. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Hope.
Mhm. Yeah. I have to add a little Japanese maple that's on my patio. It kind of feels like my own little tree. And that one too, my life wouldn't be the same without that little Japanese maple on my patio.
Yes, your companion.
Yes, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kayla. Lynn, did you want to mention a tree that you love?
I guess I'd have to say we have a giant, very old Jeffrey pine on the one corner of our cabin. And it's huge. I mean, it's huge in circumference, but because it's so old and brittle, a lot of the branches have come down, especially this year. It's possibly dangerous to sit under it. But it has so much character and it's so giant, and it's just like, it has a real presence because of its huge ancientness. And I try not, it just occurred to me it could be a metaphor for the aging process, and I'm trying not to look at it that way. You know, when pieces falling away. But mostly I love trees and I hike in them all the time.
Mhm.
Very special.
Yes, thank you. You know, one of the pictures that I put in the bulletin is from Sedona, this tree that was so old and twisty and had a lot of dead branches, but it also had a lot of life in it. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm using that too for the aging process.
You know, the one that comes to mind right now is right next to the church, sort of in the back, but it's got an enormous trunk and it's really quite magnificent. I've taken pictures of that tree.
Yeah, I'm so glad we have that grandmother tree with our church. It's incredible.
Yeah, grandmother tree.
a tree story.
A tree or a forest in my heart with different trees. Back to my childhood, the fig tree was giving me my favorite fruit in the world. And the orange tree, I was playing in each morning. I was the queen of the orange tree. And of course, my dear olive tree will give me all this nectar of life, the olive oil. Then I came to America and I discovered the redwoods. We don't have redwoods in France, and redwoods is very a great teacher for me, very deep wisdom teacher for me. So there is so many other trees that I cannot, name all of them, but right there, it's a forest with all those trees. I'm so happy to be in France and having olive tree in the garden here, just like, wow. The peace tree.
The peace tree, yeah. Thank you, Manoush.
Could I double dip?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. Well, two things. One for Lynn. That nice old tree is shedding those parts that aren't giving it good life anymore. And that can be a metaphor for age. The other piece is, if you've never visited the bristlecone pine forest that is in the White Mountains of California, out by Bishop and just east of Bishop and Big Pine, they're the oldest living things on Earth. I don't know if people are aware. A lot of people aren't aware of them, and it's an extremely harsh environment that they live in because they don't compete very well. But there's some trees, one in particular is over 4,000 years old. And you see pictures of them sometimes in calendars or whatever, because they're these trees growing up and they look like there's almost nothing alive on them. But there'll be one branch that has the greenery that keeps the tree healthy. They're amazing to experience, to walk in. And anybody wants to know more, ask me someday, and I'll tell you exactly how to get there. They are protected. That's the good news. They are very well protected these days. And they're old.
Did you say the Bristol something pine?
Bristle cone. It's all one word, bristle and cone.
Bristle cone.
Cone, C-O-N-E. It's a evergreen tree.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Dean, thank you for bringing them to our awareness. We are so fortunate where we live. In our travels in France, people refer to and want to connect with us around the incredible redwood forest and also the bristlecone, Dean. We were talking to somebody at the temples of Damanhur, and they have, I don't know, many of you know, they have these underground temples that they have used the arts, every art for connecting, and it's incredible. What I didn't know is they consider the antenna of this temple the sacred forest above the caves. And the person who took us on a tour of their forest and let us have sacred time in the forest was amazing. She was saying that she had the incredible blessing of being the one who went to the bristlecone, that oldest bristlecone, that 4,000 plus year old bristlecone, and they're trying to connect the forests of the world, and she was connecting with that one. So we're just so fortunate in California. So I'm going to share my, well, there's so many, but two short things. One, when I would do 3-month meditation retreats, there was a forest behind the place where we were meditating, and I would meditate in the forest, sometimes in walking meditation. And I mean, the meditation hall was amazing too, but that was my sanctuary. And eventually I went back there and I buried my beloved cat's ashes and my oldest son's placenta in that forest. And I used to just sing spontaneous poems in that forest. And anyway, it's just, my heart is like, whoa, just even remembering it. And then, and real truly a tree that saved me when I was 4 and 5 years old. And my poor mother, who had 3 kids within 3.5 years and was living on a farm kind of against her will. She was from Chicago, she didn't want to be there. And just many hardships. So the house was full of strife. And I was always up in the tree. There was a willow tree that I could climb and rest in and be held in. And that was my safety and my peace and my happiness. And I feel like that tree really did save me. And I think, I love hearing all of your connections with various trees, and they do save us.
I have a double dip.
Go for it, Cindy.
It's there is pain in my heart for a tree. So it was coming back to me when I was hearing people's stories about trees, which is this. My son, Oscar, he planted a conker when he was 3 years old that he collected from the park where we would often walk under these conker trees. They're horse chestnut trees. And he watched it grow. And it was such a landmark tree for him. First of all, the first year he was just so angry with the tree that it hadn't grown anymore. He was used to seeing these huge, huge trees that we could walk under. And I told him that this conker was going to grow into a tree. And he was just so furious that it hadn't grown anymore. So he was learning about patience, and it grew. And it grew, and we moved it from pot to pot. And he's now 22 years old. And last year, we got the news, I got the news that it has died. And I haven't told him yet. And I'm having to work out how to. But it was left in the trust of a family who did not look after it. That they were moving, and the big, huge pot that it was in, along with 2 other trees, actually, in big pots, and they were moving house. And so the pots were left in a place where they did not get watered. And it was just heartbreaking. Oscar was saying, find out about my tree. So it is very heavy on my heart that I don't know how to tell him.
Yeah, we do. We really love our trees. Yeah. There's a poem called Trees by Joyce Kilmer. And I read that it is considered the one poem known by practically everybody. It was written in 1913. And I wonder who would like to read that. And after we hear the words, then Gabe's going to play the video of many different images of trees. I wanted to just give you many images of trees before we go into the meditation time. And this series of trees underneath will be an interpretation of the poem sung by Paul Robeson in 1939. So it feels really old and like very, very beautiful. So who would like to read the poem, and then we'll hear the song and get to just soak in all of these images of trees. Yes, okay, Lisa, great.
Okay, thank you. Trees. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, whose intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree.
Yes, I see many of us nodding with recognition. Thank you for that beautiful reading. And Gabe, thanks for playing the video for us.
I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast. A tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray. A tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you, Gabe. Oh, yes, beautiful.
oh my gosh.
No. So we're going to go into our embodied presence prayer practice right now, embodying a tree, of course. And then after we do that, we will do a song that I didn't get into the bulletin, but it's called, I think many of you might know this, Standing Like a Tree. And you'll catch the words as you go along, and you can do movements to it as well. Judith will lead us in that. And then we'll go continue into the deepening time with an amazing poem that Judith is going to read that she brings to us. It's a very beautiful tree poem. And then I invite you to take any phrase from any of these poems, or you can take any image from the bulletin, from what was played in the video, tree out your window or in your memory or your imagination, or just your felt sense of treeness being in the forest. And during our deepening time, move with it or draw it or listen for particular messages for you right now. What is the wisdom of the tree expressing to you right now? And perhaps you would write or just be with those messages. So I invite you, if it works for you, to stand up.
Okay. To think of this as a kind of a camp song. So,
Oh, and Judith, before we do the that song, I'm just going to take people into an embodied practice.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're ready.
Ready.
All right, and I'm going to mute everybody. Or Gabe, maybe you could make sure everybody's muted so we don't have too much noise. All right. All right, so I know often we do our embodied practice sitting, but we're doing trees today. Let's stand up and first just like wake up your feet, stomp your feet. Feel the ground, and then standing with your feet apart so you feel solid, and bending up and down a little bit so your knees get the xylem and phloem flowing through your knees and your hips. I want to do figure eights or circles. Yeah, okay, and the shoulders in both directions. Oh, neck. And then those 6 movements of the spine, just very efficiently to stretch and open the spine to the left and to the right at the speed that's right for your body. Listening to your body. Oh, any moans and groans, sighs are very welcome. And also opening the front and back of the spine, forward and curving. Opening the heart and then opening the back of the heart, hugging yourself. And as you're ready, the twisting to the left and right. And then letting your body just have whatever movement it wants right now. Maybe some shaking. Good. And then coming back to relative stillness. We're never really still, are we? There's the heart beating, there's the breath, there's energy flowing. But for now, relative stillness. If you're comfortable, you can let your eyes close. Feet about hip width apart, and knees soft, so you can now feel your roots. You're going to embody the gloriousness and knowledge, wisdom, strength, beauty of a tree. Feel, imagine, sense your roots extending down into the earth from your tailbone all the way down through your legs, soft knees, through the soles of your feet, imagining them, sensing them going down deep, deep and wide into the beautiful earth, and taking up the nourishment from the earth, all the minerals, all the moisture, all that it needs. Taking this in, all that we need. Letting this nourishment come up. And if it helps, you can use your hands to, in this, bringing up the energy, up the nutrients, up into your trunk, and feel how the trunk is actually fluid. It has flexibility and energy flowing through. Feel your sap. And let this beautiful energy continue up, and let your arms come up like the branches, up and out. Oh, and letting yourself take in the sunlight through your beautiful green leaves, your hands, your branches, and taking in the nourishment of the sun, drinking it in. Maybe you also feel nourishment of rain, nourishment of air, nourishment of earth, all mixing in your body. Let the body just slightly sway, move, helping to incorporate, to really drink in all the nourishment available. And noticing how you also express nourishment through all the oxygen coming out, through the good energy nourishment that your health and vitality then offers to the world. And then Judith, when you're ready, and maybe a little slower than they usually do it at Plum Village. Thank you.
So while we're standing here like a tree, this is Betsy Rose's song. Well, we will go slower. So you might do a little standing like a tree with your roots, stomp them down, and then the branches wide and open, and then we're going to come down the rain. So 3 gestures: come down the sun, come down the fruit to the heart that is open to be standing like a tree. Okay, so this tune goes like this. Standing like a tree with my roots stuck down, my branches wide and open. Come down the rain, come down the sun, come down the fruit to the heart that is open to be standing like a tree with my roots stuck down, my branches wide and open. Come down the rain, come down the sun, come down the fruit to the heart that is open to be standing like a tree, my roots stuck down, my branches wide and open. Come down the sun, come down the rain, come down the fruit to the heart that is open to be standing like a tree. Okay, let's sit down again, and I'd like to share this poem before the musical part. It's a relatively new poem to me, but it speaks so beautifully to being the tree. Wanting help in my sleep, I reached to a giant sequoia, standing tall, wearing the moon as a crown, rooting deep past the memories of stones, she sang, lifting my dream into her old bark that had weathered many winds. She merged me into the fountain, enlivening her core until I was branch tips drinking rain. My body was the smell of needles, fragrance woven of mountains and wild clover, of bee song and wind, of comets flashing across the night. Rocked in the rhythm of green arms, I breathed in energy, breathed out vastness. The resonance of countless stars wove my small hum into the great tree's breath, from the center of the earth to the center of the sky. I join the stories burrowing beneath the turf, the speech of leaves, call and response. The unseen river pulsed, infusing the mighty tree. It was a galloping night, riding the immensity, surrendered to the evergreen pulse. A conversation in music flowed along the watercourse of breath, ending my small associations with mud and loss in the time of leafing out. The great sequoia planted me with the flute breath, the pure notes that live inside silence. Never again will I wake without the song. Waken in our hearts holy song, and remove the fears that do not belong. In the eyes of the children who long for you, whose every life's breath is a cry for your love. Waken in our hearts holy song, and remove the fears that do not belong. In the eyes of the children who thirst for you, whose every life's breath is a drink of your love. Waken in our hearts holy song, and remove the fears that do not belong. In the eyes of the children who long for you, whose every life's breath is a prayer for your love. Waken in our hearts holy song, and remove the fears that do not belong. In the eyes of the children who look for you, whose every life's breath is a hope for your love. Waken in our hearts holy song, and remove the fears that do not belong. In the jaws of the children who long for you, whose every life's breath is a cry for your love. Ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est, ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est, ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est, ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est, ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est, ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est, ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi est, ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas Deus ibi Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the love of all creation. In light I trust, in love I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. God is my light, the love of all creation. In love I trust, in love I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the God of all creation. In love I trust, in light I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the God of all creation. In light I trust, in love I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Light is my love, love is my creation. In God I trust, in love I trust. Light is my love, the love of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust. Love is my light, the light of all creation. In God I trust, in God I trust.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Judith. Thank you, everybody. Come on back to our circle and take a deep breath. Letting ourselves come back into words with each other in our circle. And this is our time for sharing. We'll keep it succinct since it's already 1:45. But I would love to hear everyone's voices, whatever you'd like to share about. Did you hear something from a tree? Was something stirred in your heart around trees today? And I'll first read you. Dean said, "Sorry, I have to leave. May you all be well. Love to you all." Dean. So thank you, Dean, for all your contributions. And who would like to begin to share? Kayla.
Yeah, well, I just want to say how really precious this has been, to be gathered with other sweet souls who love trees. I just love trees so much, and I've had a lot of sadness over trees being cut down through the years. I kind of, really make connections with certain trees, and then, oh, there's a housing project or something, and that tree goes. And it always breaks my heart every time. So this has really been healing for me. And I do so appreciate it. By the way, I wrote a haiku once when a tree, a big, magnificent tree that I had a relationship with, was cut down. And it, if I remember it correctly, it was yesterday, ancient trees. Today, new bulldozers. Tomorrow, what is sacred?
Thank you, Gayla. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so anyway, just thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, each and every one. I mean, you're all such sweet souls. Thank you.
We are a circle of sweet souls, including
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much, Gayla.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I just love this topic. And, even before church started, and I saw the bulletin come in yesterday and looked at the photographs and read the words, and just even, read all the suggestions that Kacey, you had for our deepening time, and just how beautifully you wrote all of that and then brought it to all of us today. It couldn't be a neater project and better way to deepen into, with our comrade trees, digging our roots in and stretching to the skies for all the miracle and possibilities. Such a beautiful topic. Thank you. During the deepening time, I wasn't sure what to do. I danced a little, but just wrote down a lot of different words that come to mind with trees. And I have pages and pages of things. And I'm not surprised. Trees are very meaningful to me, as they are to all of you. And this is just a perfect topic. Thank you. I feel like any of the other words I say would almost cheapen the feeling I have, because I'm not able to articulate it right now, but I'm sure all of you get the gist of it. So thank you. Beautiful topic. Thank you.
Yeah, there's something so deep that's beyond words, isn't there? Yeah, thank you. Cindy's trying to unmute.
I am just unmuted. Yes. I spent the time walking through my various rooms here, being a tree, and just looking at everything that was connected to trees that we thank trees for. And there's so much just everywhere you look. Everything made of wood, everything woven out of canes and carved. The carved furniture that I have, and the pictures of trees, and just trees are everywhere and through us and in us and round us, and it's part of the tapestry, that weaves the world together in solidness. So I was just praising trees.
Wow, thank you. That felt like a poem that you just spoke spontaneously. Thank you very much, Cindy. Do you want to speak? Okay.
Today during the prayer, what shimmered for me was, give us today our daily bread. And I was reminded how the birch tree during the summer gives sugar to the fir tree. And in the wintertime, the fir tree as a thank you note will send food to the birch tree because the birch tree doesn't have a leaf anymore. And that's one thing that is beautiful, to see the relationship between different species and different varieties, even in nature, probably even more in nature than in the human race. The other thing was, trees don't go anywhere. They're there. And they're like, for me, like a heartbeat. They're there and all of life comes to them. And they're sheltering, they're feeding, they're shading, they're bringing an harmony between the moisture and they're just there, and they do a certain amazing, important role in the ecosystem. We cannot live without tree, we know that. But for me, it was like, it's like a heartbeat. We don't have to go anywhere to feed, to give, to love. And that energy of the heart, of that love, can be transmuted and into certain form of nutrients. And that's the beauty of the tree for me. It's a heartbeat. It's a living, loving heartbeat.
Thank you so much, Manoush. Aw.
This has been such good medicine for the soul today, to be here with all of you. And yeah, I mean, the trees offer us so much. I was inspired to just write a little during this time. So thank you for that suggestion and this offering of time and connection. And truly, what an incredible group we are indeed. I feel all of you deeply, and I feel very lucky to be connected. And I'm so glad I remembered today when I was free to join you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad you did, Lisa. It's been wonderful to have your presence here. You know, when we came back, I just felt like I was part of an amazing forest, like seeing all of you as trees.
I love that.
Anybody else like to share? We haven't heard from Judith. I know you were going to share something of your travels. Lynn, would you like to say anything? Okay, all right. Judith, I'd love to hear. Oh, and Gayla, did you want to say something real
Well,
quick?
it just very, very quickly, you know, that for a while, were you outside? Something you were like in the sun, and there were tree branches over part of your face, and it was like a painting, but it was so
It was embodying the tree.
the sunlight and the trees, but the tree was like, it was part of you. I mean, I was just kind of mesmerized. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Thanks, Kayla.
I wish you could have seen it.
All right. Thank you. And Judith, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, let me just, so those of you who were here last time, I had an earth treasure vase that I was going to take with me to Scotland. And I just wanted to let you know that, in fact, this earth treasure vase has been planted on the westernmost edge of the Isle of Lewis, which is in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland. And it joined then what's called the Gaia Mandala, which is a series of these vases that have been planted all over the planet for the last 30 years. But I wanted to thank Manoush particularly because we met up before I left, and she actually poured into, or gave me a little vial to pour into the vase of water from Lourdes, as well as some soil from Chimayo and some gold. So by the time we filled this up, sitting on the Isle of Lewis, when a woman came to the pilgrimage who had been collecting sacred bits and pieces from all over the UK, and stuffed it all into this lovely little vase that I'd made in New Mexico last September. She was very ready, and we had a special box for her. And we went out into this wild weather, which it always is in that part of the world. And luckily there was a young woman who was very strong, who was able to dig into the peat. And we made a nice hole on land that nobody particularly travels on. So it wasn't somebody's land anyway. And I had the most extraordinary experience of placing this. I had become quite enamored of this vessel for all this time, this little vase, and to give her over to Mother Gaia. It's just an extraordinary experience. I stuck my head down into the hole, and it was so wet and so dark and so deep, and it felt like she just swallowed it right up.
Wow.
So it was a lovely reciprocity, and I thank you all for the blessings you poured in, the ones who were here last month. And it's something about reciprocity. We often think, oh, we're just exploiting Gaia, but there are ways to give back. Robin Kimmerer speaks about this very beautifully in Braiding Sweetgrass, and it was a very satisfying experience being out there on that incredible island. So I just wanted to make full circle and let you all know. So this has got to do some good.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing that and for sharing the experience that you had. So
Yes.
beautiful. Well, I know we need to come to a close. There's so many things we could say about trees, and just I want to thank you, Manoush, for she gave me this little tiny olive branch, which remember the dove only landing and as a sign of hope. So I just felt so much like emerging from my heart with this, holding this little branch to my heart, and so much of the longing and also the receiving, the being met and with love and peace. And so happy that we all had this time together. Thank you so much, you beautiful forest of women, and Dean and Gabe. We're going to sing our metta song to close, and then I'll look forward to seeing you all maybe next week. We have, Lynn, do you want to announce what we're doing next week?
Thank you. Can you hear me? I just unmuted.
Yes.
Okay.
No, we hear you.
I was getting a message that I was muted. Yeah, next week, if you haven't heard already, we're going to be celebrating the most joyous occasion, Kimberly and Derek's marriage. They were wed on May Day, May 1st, with a maypole and everything. But we're going to do a special reception and blessing and fun party at the church, probably starting about 12. So it'll be after the service. And I hope you can all come. It's going to be great. We'll see some slides from the wedding. We're going to play some music, and they're going to do some swing dancing, and we can all join in. I know I'm going to hope to do that. And Lisa, if you're there, we can dance together. How about that?
When is this, Lynn?
Next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Okay.
5th. So I hope to see you all there. Again, it's going to be really a lovely occasion. And just glad we can do this. Okay, any questions? Okay, hope to see you all there.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. And Judith, let's do call and response for this, okay?
Okay.
All right. So sing along, or just let yourself feel sending out. Maybe you can still be a tree and sending out the blessings, like you're sending out oxygen through your leaves, as we send blessings to all beings. May all beings dwell in the heart.
May all beings dwell in the heart.
May all beings be free from suffering.
May all beings be free from suffering.
May all beings be healed.
May all beings
May all beings be happy and at peace.
May all beings be happy and at peace.
And once more with we all. May we all dwell in the heart.
May we all dwell in the heart.
May we all be free from suffering.
May we all be free from suffering.
May we all be healed.
May we all be healed.
May we all know our wholeness.
May we all know our wholeness.
May we all be happy and at peace.
May we all be happy and at peace.
May it be so.
Maybe so.
Blessings and love. Please feel free to unmute yourself so you can say goodbye. Oh, it's so good. Beautiful trees. And Judith, thank you.